welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Aatif Nawaz show. It's my show, it's my rules, and we're gonna do it my way. That sounded a bit weird. Let's just say it's my show and you can watch and everything's cool. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to warn you in advance. The content of this week's show is a little bit more serious than normal, okay? That's because I wanted to reflect the very serious tone of my guest, okay? She's written something very, very deep, very, very intellectual. A story of heart, religion, triumph, transition. And it's a good read as well, actually. It's got some stuff about celebrities and stuff in there as well, and like famous people. It was good. It's good. It's a nice book, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. You'll like it. I'm pretty sure. It's got some really fun bits and pieces, and nice pictures. It's about a famous MTV VJ. It'll be good. Yeah, it'll be good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of my life again where I need to change my phone. Now, there's so many things out there right now. These days, you can't even, you have to think about 500 times and read about the complete thesis on mobile phones before you can decide what to buy. Do I get some iPhone new thing? Do I wait 3 months to get the next big iPhone thingy? Do I get a Samsung thingy thing and get myself a thingy thing converter? Do I get some kind of Nokia OPCDEFG thing to connect into my iPod dock so that it all converts and works? I don't understand it at all. I really miss the days of the 5146. Do you remember the 5146? If you do, then you're my kind of people. It had Snake, and you could change the fascias. That's really all you want from a phone. Oh yeah, and of course the ability to speak on the phone. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a device out there that allowed you to speak to somebody? Like send a text, but with voice, and they could hear it, and they could send you voice text back. Wouldn't it be nice if something like that existed? I'm pretty sure it already does, though. Well, that's enough of me for now, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on to this week's guest. She's a wonderful guest. You're going to enjoy this show. Let me know what you think about it. Like our Facebook page. It's the Aatif Nawaz Show. Follow me on Twitter. It's at Aatif Nawaz. And tell me all about this episode and how you felt about it. Joining me this week, ladies and gentlemen, is a very, very, very special guest indeed. You must have come across her already. Her book is absolutely everywhere. I see it everywhere I go. I've seen it at so many events and everybody's telling me wonderful things about it. Please welcome the author of From MTV to Mecca, Miss Kristiane Bakker. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hello.
Thank you so
for
much.
having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Now, this book is, it's a really interesting story. What a catchy title as well. From MTV to Mecca. Can you tell me about how this book came about, Kristiane?
Well, yeah, the title tells my story in 4 words.
It does, doesn't it?
It sums it all up.
I know. There's like another 15,000 as well to go off. So, no, it's such a it's such an evocative title as well. So,
yes.
And obviously, as you say, it tells you the subtext, which is basically you were
an MTV VJ.
MTV VJ, absolutely, very successful.
Interviewing rock stars for a living.
Interviewing rock stars. Of course, you've got the comment from Bob Geldof on the front cover as well.
Yes.
So you're very high profile VJ. Okay,
yes.
So you're very high profile. You're presenting this program, and life is hunky dory in a way.
Quite.
So how do you begin this journey towards Mecca or Islam?
Well, it all happened really through a fateful meeting with a famous cricketer who I didn't even know he had just won the World Cup for Pakistan.
Yes, of course.
I knew nothing about cricket, being German, we don't have cricket in Germany. And anyway, I was sitting next to Imran Khan at a dinner party, and he talked about his values and why he was giving up his career, his, mega career, for charity to build this cancer hospital in Lahore. Anyway, so, we met more frequently, and, he gave me Islamic books to read, and he played Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. Do you know Nusrat?
Oh, of course, yes, of course. Who doesn't?
No. So, and so that music opened my heart and mind. And I must say, since the first book I read, I was I was hooked basically. Something really clicked in me and I wanted to know more, I wanted to find out more. And then he invited me to Pakistan and, so went many times traveling.
Can I ask you, Kristiane, sorry, what was the book that he gave you, the first book?
The first book was called Man and Islam.
Man and Islam, of course. Okay, he's a big champion of that book, isn't he? So when you read this book, right, because at the time, as somebody kind of cold to Islam, as you were, right, how did it, can you talk specifically about how it impacted you,
yes.
how it struck you as somebody called to Islam?
Yes, actually, I'm describing it in my book. What I remember was it talked about the soul being trapped in a cage and being liberated through faith and through love.
Sure.
You know, divine love, you know, and religion. And you know, that our soul really longs to return to its source.
Of course.
God, you know, and I didn't know any of this, you see, and I was a novice to spirituality, to that inner dimension. For you it all would sound very basic, you see, but for me...
Yeah, totally basic.
It's like, learned this, you know, when I was a 5-year-old.
Yeah, my mum beat me and told me about this when I was 3. No, I'm kidding. Of course she did. Love you, Mum. Sorry.
You know, so no, so it really, and you know, and he criticized the civilized society. How civilized is this Western society when civilizational illnesses like depression are on the rise, you know, and broken families and. You know, and basically people not really being content, and how do we look after the elderly, you know, shove them into homes, you know, I mean, these are all signs that's perhaps not as all that great beneath the glamour and the glitz, you see. So no, so it really intrigued me, and I just continued and wanted to read more. Soon I read Geiten, Islam and the Destiny of Man, and Martin Lings, and a lot of other wonderful books. And you know, the Quran and so on. So after, you know, 3 years of traveling to Pakistan, I was even in Waziristan. I was all over your country.
So can I ask you then?
Sindh,
so
you know.
when you first trip you took to Pakistan, how did that feel?
I loved it.
Where did you go?
I loved every moment of it. We went to, well, arrived in Islamabad, and then by jeep went to Gilgit, stayed in Gilgit overnight, and then these are the northern areas.
Yes,
this is the most northern outpost of the British, and then went on to Nagar, past Hunza, you know, the stunningly beautiful Hunza. And in Nagar we left our jeep and went camping with a few friends for about a week, staying in tents, you know, very basic.
So yeah, absolutely, kind of very close to the earth, yeah.
It was amazing, you know, the mountains. I mean, I've been to the Alps, I've been to other mountains, but the Himalayas are something else.
I can imagine, I can only imagine.
They are grand.
I'm sure they are. I've seen them in pictures and stuff, so they look
they look very big.
They look great in the photographs on my desktop on my computer. So that's incredible. So you were there, you were meeting...
And then Lahore, I went to Lahore, you
that's
know, stunning. The Mughal architecture, I loved that old fort, and you know, we stayed in one of those Havelis in the old town.
Oh wow, okay.
Mingled in, you know, in the old bazaar. And
Imran Khan seems very, very well connected, doesn't he? Fancy that! So that's incredible. You had this trip to Pakistan, and obviously you enjoyed yourself. The art is wonderful, the architecture, the people are very nice.
You see, I was touched by the people because it really, you know, the warmth of the Pakistani people. I have never experienced anything like it until that time, you know. And also the very poor people. As we were traveling up the mountains, you know, beyond Hunza, people were staying above their animals. It was so cold, and so that the heat travels up, because they didn't have heating or electricity or anything like that, or satellite dishes. So, you know, and yet the dignity of these kind of people. And in fact, when we walked through the villages, they offered us whatever they had, their walnuts, their apricots with Bismillah, you know, in the name of God. So the dignity of the people, the generosity, and the fact that God featured in everybody's life all the time, you know, I had never experienced anything like it.
And what impact did that have on you, meeting people who have this, who have such an intrinsic connection with, you know, God? Yes,
it really, you know, it made me think, it made me re-evaluate everything I knew, you know, and I was just touched very deeply, and I wanted to know more, and I wanted to get to know this culture better, and you know, and then I was thrown back into the entertainment world, you know, straight back after my first trip to Pakistan. I went to La La Land, to LA for the MTV Video Music Awards.
Wow.
And everybody wore, you know, tight mini skirts and fake boobs and, you know, fake lips and everything. And it was just such a crass difference. The men inside, they would wear sunglasses, you know. And it was just so crass.
Did it feel more
different,
kind of,
fake. It was
less
all
authentic. Absolutely,
it was
I was going
all
to say
fake, and I was missing, you know, the authentic, the real people of Pakistan, earthy, warm, real people, you know, sincere people.
Did that direct juxtaposition of those two trips kind of resonate so heavily that you kind of thought about that and evaluated yourself?
Yes, exactly.
Of course, and then you talk about it so much in this book. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a chance to win a copy of this wonderful book. Are you going to be so kind to sign one for us?
Yes, I'll sign
there we go.
two books for the winner. winners.
Oh, fantastic. So 2 of you are going to get a signed copy of this wonderful book, From MTV to Mecca. We can hear more about this fascinating story that we're already having. For now, we're going to throw to a wonderful clip, okay, of Kristiane talking about her book.
The ecological crisis, for me, is one of the greatest challenges we face in our time. And perhaps it's an outward reflection of a deeper spiritual crisis. We've lost our respect for creation and our sense of the sacred. The Quran tells us how God has created everything in balance. And if we upset the balance, it has disastrous consequences, not only for the world around us, but also for our souls. So perhaps what we need is a spiritual revival, a revival of spiritual consciousness, which would inspire us to all get together, no matter what faith, to try and save the planet, because this affects us all. Prophet Muhammad had a very close, almost intimate relationship with nature. He was beloved by all creation, by stones, by plants, and by animals. He taught us as a branch of faith to remove litter from the streets. And when in the last hour, on the day of judgment, if one of us holds a palm shoot in his hand, we are supposed to plant it. So this really means how we must never give up, never feel defeated, and really do our best until the very end. Muhammad taught us to protect nature, to observe its signs, and to meditate upon them. Now, in our day and age, due to pollution and climate change, this may not always be possible. I mean, just now, the United Kingdom's beaches have been classified as one of the most unclean in the whole of Europe. And I really believe it's our time now, the time has come that we clean up our act and shed this image of being the dirty man of Europe and in fact become one of the leading lights. You know, work on reducing our carbon footprint, developing renewable energy at a national level. But then again, also each one of us on an individual level, we can all do our little bit to, well, make this world a better place, to conserve energy, to you know, live environmentally friendly, to live green. Actually, by nature, Muslims should be environmentalists because Muhammad and the Quran teach us to protect the environment, to look after our resources. In fact, we're the stewards of Earth, the stewards of our Earth. We're meant to look after our Earth in a responsible way and recycle, conserve the energy, and really be good human beings in that way and establish harmony again between us and the world around us. Because once we're at peace with the Earth, we will be at peace with heaven.
Well, there's a fascinating conversation right there. I love the way you talk about Islam and this conversion to it. I've been looking at your book, actually, in that little break, and I'm seeing there's some wonderful pictures of you. And I noticed a couple with your, there's one with your father, there's one with your mother and sister. They all, you know, mashallah, you're a very, pleasant family, a pleasant family.
Thank you.
So how did they take to the conversion?
You know, now they think as long as I'm happy, they're happy, you know, and they see how perhaps Islam has turned me into a more conscientious human being, you know, perhaps less selfish. In fact, my family benefit. When I now go back home, I mostly see my family rather than my friends. Before, my friends were always far more important, you know. So you know, they benefit in a way, but they do. You know, at the time when it happened, obviously they were shocked, they couldn't believe it, you know, you're not going to get married to him, why do you have to take up his religion, you know? And so they didn't understand, they only knew Islam from the media. And also they saw that my career took a major nosedive after, you know, becoming a Muslim.
Sure.
So they thought it was all just negative. And, you know, here I am, still single. So they wonder, you know, what good has it given me? But when they see that I'm happy, they see all my books, they see that contentment that I get, you know, from the prayers and the fasting. They can't really quite 100% follow it. I mean, they're not about to become Muslims themselves.
Of course.
But they are happy for my happiness.
But did it take them a while to get to that point? Because I can imagine initially, at least, it must have been is
Yes.
what is this absurd point you're
Yes.
making, surely?
Absolutely, and then you see, because I'm in the public eye, especially in Germany, my mother had to keep telling everybody why I'm Muslim, and she had to
'Cause it's
keep
not-
talking about Islam
Germany
all the
doesn't-
time.
It doesn't have a huge Muslim community, does it?
Actually, it does.
It does.
But yeah, even a bigger community than here.
Wow, okay.
In percentage. But they're far less integrated, you can say. You know, there's a lot more friction. They are far less, you know, full members of society in a way. They're really more to themselves, and you know.
For example, do you see many Muslim on television in Germany? Do you see Muslims in Parliament? That kind of thing?
Very few, you see. That's exactly it. And whereas London London is the leading light of Europe,
Sure.
and the
Is
UK.
that I mean, I was going to ask you actually, because obviously you've got this German heritage.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful heritage to have. I love Germany. I have such a wonderful time every time I go there.
Thank
so
you.
why do you end up? You know, how do you end up in London? And what do you spend your time doing?
Well, you see, I came here for MTV, but I didn't leave when the job finished with MTV. In fact, by the way, I mean the whole how did it all finish? My entertainment career. It was when I became Muslim.
So I was going to say, right. So how did MTV? Obviously, you talk about this in the book.
Yes,
But
I do.
how did MTV take to the fact that all of a sudden? And it
MTV
wasn't sudden, but you know, now you're a
Yes.
Muslim.
Yes, exactly. No, I mean, you know, my family was all right. My friends were absolutely fine. They found it inspirational, and you know, wanted to know more, in fact, about Islam. But you know, who couldn't take it was the German media. I got hounded, and you know, a very negative press campaign followed. Oh, has she lost the plot? She's bizarre. You know, is she now following supporting terrorism?
Oh my God.
You know, it was very shocking. And,
For Germany, especially. I
And
mean,
soon after, I was in a award. I won the equivalent of BAFTA, 2 BAFTA awards, you know, in Germany. And soon after it came out I'm Muslim, I lost my show that I had on national TV in Germany. MTV followed a few months later, you know, so they were all right, but they also thought it's an uncool image. And I remember at the VH1 after show party in Hamburg, you know, my boss was handing me a joint, and I said, no, thank you, you know, I'm a Muslim and everything, and didn't what, you know, imagine somebody would see me. He said, that'll probably be good for your image.
my God.
Because, you know, better, you know,
Oh,
smoking
Lord.
joints than being known as a Muslim.
And does it
was
have that
that
kind of-
uncool, you know.
I mean, I'm
I'm afraid.
That's incredible, because I'm a Muslim. I've been working in liberal media for a very long time in
Yeah.
Britain, for exactly,
Yes.
and I've never had any kind of. I've never
No.
encountered. People talk about it, but
Thank
I've never
God.
encountered institutional racism or
No.
discrimination of any kind. This is really
I
extreme,
know.
because all
Yes.
you've really done is, you know.
I know. You know, I
adopted a
wasn't
religion.
even wearing hijab. You know,
Uh-huh.
I was still wearing the same clothes as before, and you know, so
And all of a sudden you did have a show
it
and,
was-
and your contract.
Yes, and I never came back properly on German TV.
Did you ever feel like
See.
being litigious afterwards?
I actually did. I did, you know, voice, because I had a contract that was freshly signed, and they just pretended it wasn't there. But yeah, and I won it, you know, but nothing much. So you know, I mean, the end of the fact of the matter is my career ended for becoming Muslim, and it's
Fortunately for the world of literary lovers and people who love good books, that
Yes.
ended and the beginning of this happened, ladies and gentlemen. This wonderful book. We're going to tell you a little bit more how to win it in the next segment. Before that, I want to know what you think this week. What are you up to? What are your opinions, you crazy, crazy people out there?
Favorite sport? I would say any type of martial arts.
Riding.
Sports. Table tennis.
It's about memory. Memory.
Badminton. Football.
Memory. Yes, memory.
Cycling.
Rock climbing.
Memory sport. Of course. Basketball.
I like baseball.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you guys are weird people. But I love hearing from you every week. Thank you so much for those. We're here, of course, talking with Kristiane about the book, the wonderful book, From MTV to Mecca. It's a wonderful story, and it's really fascinating to talk to you about, you know, this stuff. And I'm
of
quite
course,
curious.
you know, all the adventures in the Muslim world begin after the end of my entertainment career. You know
course.
what? It was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that, you know, because it's not where I want to be now either.
No, of
You
course.
know,
I can
yeah.
imagine. And I wanted to ask you about the specific transitions in your life, right? Because, I mean, I often wonder, because I hear a lot about people, mashallah, alhamdulillah, converting to Islam and having a very fulfilling life. But it's hard, especially if you've been in the entertainment industry. There's certain things, I mean, you mentioned joints earlier, right? There's certain things that you're exposed to that become almost a part of your habit to break the... Like, for example, do you still go? Do you still attend like parties at nightclubs? And how do you feel about that?
No, I don't. You know,
At all?
I don't really. I mean, the other day I'm now a bit in property, and I was trying to sell a nightclub, so I had to go and bring a friend there, but it was empty. You know, so
that's not what I meant.
I did my launch at Momo's, my only favorite club, in fact, and we had a Pakistani singer there. You know, Aziz Nabil was filming. In fact,
Producer sub.
that was Bob Gelder was there,
Oh, wow.
etc. So you know, but to be honest, no, I don't enjoy clubbing. I don't like loud music. You know, I don't even listen that much to music
I'm with
anymore,
you.
even at
I'm
home.
with you.
You know?
I mean, I feel so
I
old.
like
I'm 28 years old. I don't like sitting in a nightclub at all. I like the idea of sitting in a quiet space where I
Yes,
can
and
hear my friends.
have meaningful conversation.
Yeah,
Who-
or even unmeaningful conversations.
Yeah,
but
a
just
conversation,
quietly,
something.
You know, something
Yeah,
quiet.
yeah.
Listen to, like,
They're just
Bruno
noise
Mars
and people
shouting at me.
being drunk. You know, if you're dealing with people drunk or drugged up, they are on a different wavelength.
Absolutely.
What have I got to say to them? Nothing. I run.
So, is there anything you miss about being ingrained in a more Western culture?
Not really. I still have some of my Western friends. You know, some people are on their own spiritual path.
Sure.
You know, so.
Are there any
no.
faux pas that people commit with you now? For example, I mean, what I mean to say is obviously, you know, people are accustomed to behaving with you a certain way because they're used to you know, Kristiane Backer, MTV, VJ, glamorous lifestyle,
You
and
know,
now you're Muslim.
It's maybe the sometimes flirting or you know, when men they want to kiss. I mean,
How do you curb that?
colleagues.
How do you
I
curb
just
that?
find it so annoying. I had to explain to all my publishing team, sorry, I don't kiss. I mean, the ones who actually read the book, I'm dealing with this little issue.
Yeah.
You know, that is one thing. You know, new colleagues who everybody nowadays kisses.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's a bit gross.
It is
It
gross.
is. I don't
know
like to do
them.
that with people
You know,
either.
I've worked with them. Okay, you know,
Yeah, it's
friends
gross.
I have for 20 years. It's a little bit difficult
Yeah.
to say to them, sorry, don't do that
So how do
anymore.
you, that's what I want to
But
know.
people
How do you
who
do that?
hug, I say, I don't hug anymore. I
How do
don't
you do
hug.
that?
No, I
So
just
somebody
explain.
comes in for a
Yeah,
hug,
I know,
and it's
it's
it's the most natural thing in the world.
I know.
How do you
People-
overcome
I
that
said,
awkward
I don't
moment?
do that. I don't. I just don't hug. I'm a Muslim woman, you know.
So you just kind of, you see,
Yeah,
I have that.
I
You know
say.
what? I struggle sometimes because when you meet a Muslim woman, I'm a Muslim guy, okay? It's difficult to know whether you should go in for the handshake, whether you
Yeah.
just do this kind of soft bow thing.
Yeah.
What do you?
Or
What is
this
the protocol?
thing, you know, this thing.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. What do you do? I mean, there's so many options as well, which is a wonderful thing, I suppose.
Yes.
But then equally, you have to work out what you do.
You know, I find it so much more respectful to not. I mean, handshake is all right, or to just do this. You know, it's just it's so nice and so respectful, and I love that about Muslim environments. You don't constantly get passes made on you.
Yeah.
You know, like in TV and everything, and so that's sometimes it can be a little bit awkward.
Okay. Well, since your conversion to Islam, right? You've probably
But I
and
can
obviously
handle
promoting this
anything.
book.
Believe me.
Promoting this book, right? You've come across a lot of Islamic communities and Muslim and Pakistani groups as well, right?
Yes.
Have you? I mean, in my experience, anyway, Pakistani people can be quite flirtatious themselves in a different way.
Yes, of course. And then you just, you know, I mean, I've been to Pakistani parties where everybody was drunk and falling over themselves and, you
wow.
know, and smoking cigars.
And that was
I'm
just in
just thinking,
Leighton.
oh, I've left this. I've left this kind of society behind. What am I doing here? And I felt equally uncomfortable.
So how difficult
You
is it
know,
then? Because
I just don't like to hang out with this type
absolutely,
of
but
people
you have
anymore.
to. At the end of the right, your publisher will say to look, Kristiane, you've got to plug this book, right? You have to appear at these events. You have to be here. You have to do this. You have to meet these people. You have to speak to these people, and you have to attend events that sometimes will make you feel uncomfortable. How do you moderate that with being a
No, it's
Muslim?
all right. I mean, I am going to Morton's, for example, a club in Mayfair.
You know, a lot of clubs, Kristiane, must say. There's
Yeah,
more
but
than
it's not.
Morton's.
I'm not going to down
Of course,
to
of course.
you know dance
I
or
kid, of
whatever.
course.
But no, I'm just doing a book talk.
Sure.
You know, Boris Johnson's father did a book talk there the other day,
Oh,
and
wow.
really interesting people. You know, so no, so I'll just have a civilized conversation, and if people want to drink wine, it's up to them. You know, I'm not a radicalist nowadays.
Let there be no
or
compulsion in Islam. It's
Yeah,
okay,
you know, each to their own.
Absolutely.
You know, and look, I believe I'm some kind of a bridge. I do mix and mingle with Western society, and I do once in a while. You know, if I'm invited to a friend's birthday party, of course I go. And
course.
if the others drink alcohol, it's up to them. I just
Absolutely.
don't. So I'm not one of those who just now is only in a Muslim bubble.
Of
No,
course.
because otherwise, if we don't reach out, you know, to the wider society, how will anybody ever find out that Islam is something good?
Absolutely, and you've got to be open about these things. You've got to
Yes.
integrate. I think it's very
Yeah.
important to show. It's important for people to demonstrate as Muslims that we can be a
Yeah.
constructive part of British society
Exactly.
and
Yes.
you know, form something positive going
Yeah, and
forward.
we can be fun
Yeah.
without alcohol,
Absolutely.
you know. I mean, it was a real
expensive as
lesson
well,
in life, you know.
Why would you?
That I learned this
That's just
in-
me being cheap. Sorry.
I learned this in Pakistan.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually have a lot of fun without alcohol.
Absolutely.
I didn't know this before.
Well, people in Lahore do that on a daily basis.
People can't. Yeah, I know in Lahore maybe not, but you know, it's just unimaginable for say generally Western people that you can have fun at a dinner or party without alcohol, without drugs. But you can, and you have more energy. I love it because you get up earlier and fresh the next day.
Important to categorize that specifically within the media, because I think there's people, I mean I've known people my whole life growing up that have no connection with the entertainment or the media world that can have a very interesting evening without any kind of substance at all, without being chemically altered at all.
Yes,
it's possible.
It is possible.
This is interesting. It's interesting. I love talking about this. And before we move on, I've got to ask you one thing, right? So Bob Geldof, obviously, you know, he's given you the quote for this book.
Yes.
What was his exact response when he Bob Geldof found out that you had converted to Islam?
I don't remember exactly, honestly, but it's all in the book. Well, I actually tried to invite him. It's in the book. I brought him to a Sufi sheikh. I wanted to enlighten him, and because he was just dumped by his ex-wife, his former wife, who is now, you know, with God, rest her soul. You know, and he was very much down and depressed, and I was in a similar situation and had found spirituality at the same time, and I thought it could help him as well.
Sure.
So I just generally, you know, also talked to him about God and so on, but he doesn't believe in God. Although his sister received a major healing miracle in Lourdes. You know, she was terminally ill and was healed in Lourdes, you know, where the Virgin Mary appeared. It's one of those great sites of pilgrimages, So, so I think, you know, maybe in Ireland, maybe the upbringing was such that, you know, it just drummed it out of certain people. However, he is a very spiritual person, and he gave me a lot of really good quotes, which you filmed on TVapex.
Of course, yeah.
You know, he realizes, I mean, he can see my core is still the same. You know, he says it doesn't really make people that different. You know, yeah, you fine tune and perhaps it gets the best out of you, but I'm still me.
Yeah. You know? Absolutely, and we're glad you are still you, because you're giving us some wonderful books and some wonderful insights into the world of converting to Islam, ladies and gentlemen. We're speaking here with Kristiane Bakker. This is absolutely fascinating discussion. Now we're going to learn a few more personal things about Kristiane Bakker. When we play the fabulous sheep round, it's time for 12 things. Are you ready for this, Kristiane?
Sure.
Are you ready? Okay,
Absolutely.
12 things we don't know about you. Can I have the sheep, please? Here we go. We have the sheep. You catch the sheep, you answer the question. Okay. We ready for this? Okay, here we go. What's your favorite thing to eat in the whole world?
Desi food.
Desi food is an answer we like. Okay. What's your favorite holiday destination in the world?
Oh, difficult. Mountains, nature.
Mountains, nature. Anything with mountains and nature. Fair enough. Not picky. I like it. What's your favorite movie ever made?
Gosh, you're asking two difficult questions. Can't tell you. I haven't got one.
What would you watch right now if you had a chance?
It takes me too long to think. Can't tell you.
Okay, fine. We're going to skip that one. Okay, do you prefer bread or do you prefer naan?
Bread from Germany.
Bread
Spelt
from
bread.
Germany. Spelt bread. Okay, that's interesting. Not had that one before. Okay, do you prefer chappals or do you like slippers?
What's chappals?
That answers that question right there. I like
Slippers.
it. Okay, so what's your favorite song ever?
Oh no, I can't. I don't have Heroes, David Bowie.
Heroes, David Bowie. Okay, fair enough. Do you prefer Western attire or do you prefer Eastern attire?
I quite like Eastern.
Eastern attire? Okay, there we go.
Covered, whatever, you know, whatever works.
Do you think bearded people look better or do you think clean-shaven people look better?
I like clean-shaven or short beard like you.
Short beard like me, that'll do, that plays to my ego enough. Okay, so your favourite person in the whole wide world?
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his month of birthday.
Of course. And who's your role model in life?
Of course, same
answer.
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
There we go. Okay. What's your favourite cricket team?
Cricket team. Pakistan. How
Pakistan. Not Munich? No, anyway, I'm just kidding, because they've got a strong team nowadays. Okay, so they do. So do you prefer being in London or do you prefer being in Germany?
I love being in London.
You like being in London? We're happy with that. That's 12 things you didn't already know about Kristiane Bakker. Thank you so much. How do you feel?
Fine. I'm still trying to think of a film.
I'm still trying to think of a film. Excellent. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's 12 things you didn't already know about Kristiane Bakker. We've been talking about the book From MTV to Mecca. It's an absolutely fascinating read, and we're having a fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for coming, Kristiane.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a wonderful and enlightening discussion. Before you go, are you going to be kind enough to sign a couple of these books for us?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic.
For the winners.
Okay,
We'll do it
great.
right
So
now.
we're going to have these books signed for you, my friends. And in order to win this wonderful book over here, okay, all you need to do is answer this very, very simple question, okay? Who inspired Kristiane Bakker to get interested and involved in Islam? Who inspired Kristiane Bakker to get interested? Who was the individual who got her interested into Islam in the first place, right? Answers you can send to manager@tvapex.com. That's manager@tvapex.com, and you will have a chance to win a signed copy of From MTV to Mecca, courtesy of Kristiane Bakker. She's going to sign those for us after the show, and we're going to send those up to you if you win this competition. Thank you so much. It's very, very, very kind. Before you go, Kristiane, just before we end, I want to ask you, right? You had a sign in the London Underground, right? On the London Underground, you had like a big poster picture of yourself, right? Which is the dream.
It was all over London, and in bus stops, taxis, and the Underground.
It was inspired by Muhammad.com, right?
Inspired by Muhammad, yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that was an incredible initiative. And I've got to say, of all the things you've done, you've presented on MTV, you've got this book, you know all these celebrities, you know you've talked about all of them, you know, Bono, you've got Bob Geldof, Mick Jagger, you know, so you know the royalty of rock and roll, right, are in this book. But of all the things you've done, the one thing that makes me most jealous is that you had a sign and a big picture of yourself on the London Underground network, because I have to go down there every day, and every media person knows it deep within their hearts that that's what you really want. Okay.
But you see why it was so good? It's because this is with Allah. This is with Muhammad, you see, peace be upon him. It's not just for the sake of it, you know what I mean? That's why it's. I'm happy with it.
I love that that's what fulfills you. Thank you so much, Kristiane, for coming on the show.
You.
It's been an absolute pleasure
Very nice
to have you.
meet you. Yeah,
pleasure.
great fun. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We'll have you back for you next week with more hilarity and a wonderful guest. Until then, this is Aatif Nawaz, your Humsafar, your friend, saying Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you so much, Kristiane. It was good. It was a really good discussion.